Tell Me About It is brought to you by Extreme Health Club.
Hi, I'm James Brown here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6 local channel. You can catch the show every Thursday, 6 p.m. live on that channel on YouTube, the Glasgow EPB channel. 104thescore.com, kysports.tv with Trevent Hayes.
I was going to ask if you was going to say my name.
I was saving you for last, man. Best for last. Anyway, Trevent is salty today.
Real salty.
And we'll get to that here in a bit. But first, we're going to start off with the 15th District Boys Tournament.
I listened to it.
Did you?
The end of the third and the fourth quarter, I listened to it on the radio.
Yeah. The Barron County Trojans won handily as it was in the end over Allen County Scottsville 48-29. Outscored them, I think Allen County scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. So they
kind of like Barron did the last time they played.
Yeah, it was just a reverse of when they played over there during the last regular season game. So they took care of business as they were expected to. They'll be playing in the district final Friday night, 6 o'clock, Allen County Scottsville High School. The drama was in the Glasgow Warren East game. It was a tight game throughout. The last time Warren East had won all three meetings, but the last meeting Warren East won 64-62, and Glasgow had a three to win that game.
And missed it,
just skipped off the rim. So we get down, there's 6 or so seconds left. Actually, there was more than that, and John Carter Walbert gets the ball at the top, and they had designed a different play they were going to try to run. But then William Buford, coach, saw the matchup and told him to go flat and let John Carter work. So he pulls up, hits a three with like 1.8 seconds left. Clock goes off. Scotties win 59-56. Dramatic win, considering the season they've had. Not the least bit surprising. That's the way things would go for them because they beat teams like Adair County. They played pretty well against Bowling Green except for one quarter at the start of the regular season. Had some good wins during the season. Also had some mind-boggling losses during the course of the season. So it's been an up and down year for them. Like I said, big win, big shot there for John Carter. Big game for Jarek Martin defensively. Josiah Driver had a big game, 15 points.
That's what I was going to say. I heard his name a lot.
Yeah.
He had a when I listened to it, of course I didn't see it, but apparently he had a rebound that kind of swung the momentum a little bit too there in the fourth.
Well, that may have been Jeremiah.
No, well, they said
they had back-to-back ones in a way because one of them I think Josiah got and then he got fouled, but it wasn't in the bonus yet. So Glasgow got the ball. The other one was on one where Jeremiah was matched up against Barber inside, and he managed to out-rebound him on an offensive rebound. And then the game was tied 56-56 at that point. Okay. Glasgow got no points out of that situation and then got a stop on the other end. So, but the big part was all of Glasgow's players were basically under their offensive board. If Warren East had gotten that rebound, I'm pretty sure that he'd gotten the transition basket.
Right.
But Josiah had 15 points. And I had kind of thought Josiah Driver and Jalen Bradley may be keys to the game because they can shoot the outside shot. And you knew Warren East was going to try to take away Jarek's drive. They were going to try to take away John Carter. And so that meant somebody else was going to have to step up. Josiah did, and then Landon Minton hit 2 big threes in the game. I didn't even know he could shoot threes. And so they got production from other people knowing that Warren East was going to try to stop those 2 guys from doing their damage. And then on the flip side, Glasgow did a good job against Caleb Prince because he had scored more than 20 points in the other 3 meetings. He only had 13. I think he was 3 of 12 shooting the ball. So, Glasgow did the things they needed to do to win that game.
Yep. What about the girls? Barron County, that was a big upset.
Yeah, it was devastating because I thought there was a point in the game where I thought Barron was in trouble early in the game because Allen County Scottsville was running a 3-2 zone and Barron was struggling to figure out. They were just taking threes and not hitting anything. And so in the second half, I thought they were kind of getting control of the game. Then with about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, Abby Varney collided with Avery Morris for Allen County and split open her nose, and she spent the next 6 minutes of game time getting her nose put back together more or less. They got it bandaged up and got it stopped bleeding as much as possible, but it was still bleeding. And so then she came back in. I think Allen County had the lead when she came back in. Barron managed to tie it up, but they missed a couple of free throws, I think with about a minute left in there, that would have given them, I think, a 4 or 5 point lead, and that would have sealed it. Then I think on the defensive end, they lost Aubrey Nazer once. She hit a 3, and then she hit another 3, and then that kind of swung the momentum of the game. Riley Roy hit a 3-pointer from the corner to give Allen the 53-52 lead. Barron ran an inbound play, basically like a baseball pass, but Riley Roy ended up intercepting the pass. Well, she didn't so much intercept it as it like hit, and then she was the person there to get it. I think just maybe the miscommunication between the outlet and where they thought they were going to be. It's one of those, did the quarterback throw the bad pass or did the receiver run the wrong route kind of situations.
Right.
So you don't know, but anyway, they got the turnover. Allen hit 2 free throws and Barron couldn't get off another shot, try to get the game tied. It was really tough on Katie Murphy, who suffered the ACL injury in the summer, worked really hard to get back during the season, and Abby Varney, they're the only 2 seniors. So, I mean, I imagine in a regular season game, we wouldn't have seen Varney again, maybe for a couple of games, but she came back in and played the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game. So, the toughness was there, but Allen County they're just that team. Like, they're sort of like the Glasgow boys in a way. You look at some of the games they've lost and you're like, how the heck did they lose that game? You look at some of the ones they won and you're like, how the heck did they win that game? You just don't know from game to game what they're looking like. And then East ended up pulling away from Glasgow in the second half to win that other game. So it's going to be a Warren East Allen County Scottsville final at 6 o'clock on Thursday at Allen County.
Okay.
So, going back to the Barron County girls season, Piper Lindsay got her 200th win at Barron County this season and her 300th of her career. She's about 56 games behind John Butler career wins wise. She's like 100 and something behind him as winningest coach at Barron County, who she played for at Barron County. So, there were accomplishments during the season, but I'm sure like right now they pretty much pale in comparison to what the expectations were for those players. And Katie Murphy had told me whenever she signed her intent to play at WKU softball, that one of the reasons she worked so hard was the anticipation of what they could accomplish this season. So it got her ready for the softball season, but I'm sure that hurt a lot.
Right.
All right.
We'll take a break.
Yep.
Then we'll talk 18th district.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Introducing the Glasgow EPB Customer Payment Portal and mobile app. With our new sleek and user-friendly payment portal, managing your Glasgow EPB services has never been easier. And if you need to make a payment on the go, our new mobile app lets you pay your bills with just a few taps. The Glasgow EPB Customer Payment Portal and mobile app, because managing your Glasgow EPB services should be as simple as flipping a switch. Visit glasgowepb.com/billpay today to sign up and download the app.
We're back.
Are we?
Was that good?
I mean, it was accurate.
It was very accurate. 18th district.
Yep.
Monday night, the Caverna Lady Colonels ended their season. Hart County ended it for them.
Yeah.
Just the game was just so lopsided. Leah Bradley had 41 points.
What was the final? 86-20. So she had
86 to 20. She had 41 of the 80.
Dang.
86, yeah. But I talked to Coach Barber at Caverna, and he didn't actually get hired until July. Mm-hmm. So he really didn't have a lot of time to prepare because at Caverna Small School, most of those girls played volleyball, and some of them played fall softball. But anyway, I'm really eager to see what he can do in year 2.
Yeah.
They were just so young, and all the other teams in the district were just way more advanced than they were.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they had kind of some players who did not come back and play this year. And they had some during the season who decided not to play anymore. I think one of them got injured, though, during the season.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was kind of – so he's kind of – there was one point I think they only had 7 players on the team.
They just finished with 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of was trying to find people to play. I know they had 2 or 3 who had not played before.
Right.
They ended up coming out and playing.
Right. And I applauded him for that. Just making it interesting enough to where some of those girls wanted to come out and at least give it a shot.
I will say this: there were the 3 players that were kind of constant anyway. Jordan Bethel, Cadence Brown, and Summer Salee. I did see growth in all of them, but especially Summer Salee shooting threes and being a pretty good scrapper in there. And she's just a sophomore.
Right.
I think Jordan, is she a sophomore? Freshman.
Uh-huh.
And Cadence is a junior. I think he had no seniors on the team.
None.
And I imagine the 3 of them can be encouraging for girls who either chose not to play but could have, who had been in the program, maybe to come back out and give it another shot.
Right.
If they want to. And, there may be some players coming up that were thinking, I don't know if I want to play, and they saw the growth and,
now they want to participate.
Yeah. Numbers are important, man. Numbers are important.
They are. Boys action, Greene County and Hart County, the 1 and 4. Mm-hmm. A 4 seed hadn't won in the 18th district in the boys' side since 2003.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I think this is the 3rd time that Greene County has hosted the district and region and will not be participating in the region as the 1 seed. Greene County started out pretty hot. Blakeman was doing typical Blakeman stuff, but they switched Joshua Day and Crump on him, and he basically just shut him down the rest of the game.
Really?
Yes. Hart made a little run. They didn't hit. I'd be willing to say that Hart maybe hit 1 3 in the first half, if any.
Yeah.
They just very cold shooting, but in the second half, Jackson Shoulders really was just a bully in that game. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he had 21 points and 13 rebounds.
Dang.
Just a bully. No, it was a bully.
Yeah.
Just knocking kids off of him and finishing. Ended up being a really good game. I think I actually talked to Jackson after the game and told him if he hit his free throws, they'd have won by 15. I think he missed 6 free throws in the last 2 minutes of the game, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see Hart County make it, going to get a chance to play in the regional tournament. Last night's girls game, Greene and LaRue, it was probably close for a minute in the game.
The final score wasn't as lopsided as it was like 68-41, but I figured they were going to beat them by 50 because I think they had beaten them by 50 once this season.
They had. He actually took his starters out.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't think he did.
He actually took his starters out. And now I will tell you this, I didn't get the little girl's last name or her name. They have an 8th grader that I think they said last week she won the indoor triple jump state championship.
Who's this, Greene?
Greene County.
Uh-huh.
She's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
She was making passes last night, and I really thought the kid was maybe a junior. She's built like an athlete. Mm-hmm. And one of the track coaches was sitting close to us, and he said she's just an 8th grader. So Blades actually has a pretty young team. So
yeah,
he's going to be probably the forerunner next year because Hart loses which is 85%.
41 points.
Yeah.
41 points out of 86.
Offense. Yeah. And LaRue loses a couple of their big girls, but the boys' game, I really felt that Caverna could win that game because they had beat LaRue before, but LaRue jumped out 19-4, and it's hard to overcome that.
LaRue is the kind of team, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, not last week. LaRue's the kind of team that you want to get up on because you want to make them think about what they're doing because they're unconscious offensively. They're just a team that can shoot. Everybody can shoot. And if you let them get started, it's hard to get them back under control.
And once, Caverna cut it to 3 in the second half, 65-62. And LaRue started turning it over. I think they kind of felt the pressure.
Yeah.
But just, a few misfortunes for Caverna. Kit missed a backdoor cut, and they hit a wide open layup. And it just, they never could, take that last step to at least tying it. I think if they had got it tied, I think it would have really became a different game. But
well, and that's kind of to that point. I mean, if you can make LaRue feel that pressure early, then you got a much better chance. Because I think the difference between those two teams to me right now is just the experience of LaRue. Even though Caverna ended up winning that All-A region this year, they struggled at the All-A state.
They still, and James, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's even going back to football season. I remember we started talking about football, and the biggest thing the hurdle that we have to do is teaching these kids how to win. They tasted it a little this year. I think next year will be definitely there.
I mean, they would be the team next year, I think.
I think in the whole region.
Yeah. They're going to be everybody healthy, and got that confidence this year. I mean, you lose some seniors. Desmond's a pretty important piece to what they do, but you got some younger dudes coming up who...
Hey, I'm telling you who surprised me last night was Cortavion Maxey.
I thought he's played pretty well.
He played well against Metcalfe County, and last night, to start the game, he missed a few easy buckets per se, but they were in and out, and I was just, very proud of him because usually Cortavion shuts down and he gets in his own head. But last night he just played through it, and he ended up having, I think he may have had 15 points last night or somewhere close to there. Really big game. But there was one point in the game to where Jalen realized that Cortavion was the hot man, and he couldn't get him the ball. So, and I don't know if he did it on his own or I'm thinking he did by the reaction on the bench. But he started telling Cortavion to just bring the ball up the floor. And, I know, as a coach, when you call a play, you want to see that play. But also, in football, I call a play, but I gave Jalen the privilege of, hey, if you get to the line of scrimmage and see something different, change it.
Yeah.
But to see the growth in him, because, everybody knows Jalen is the key to that team.
Yeah.
He makes all the wheels turn, but he wasn't in a groove. Cortavion was, so he kind of, backed up to let Cortavion do his thing. And I think that's a lot of growth, and I'm really looking forward to the future for those guys.
Yeah. Whenever I talk to basketball coaches especially, the most critical thing is the relationship between the coach and the point guard. And that trust, that bond they build, where the best relationships are, you work on all the stuff in practice, but when the game comes, you put the game in the hands of your point guard.
Right.
And then they can start making decisions because they see what's happening on the floor right in front of them.
But you got to have that growth before you can do that.
Well, and hopefully that's what's happening because we're talking about a sophomore point guard,
right?
And I can already see during the course of this year, like if we go back to the Hart County game that they lost 58-57, there was a stretch in that game where Russell was hot.
And we didn't go to him.
Yeah.
Didn't go to him.
And so you look at the growth of a game against LaRue County with all the marbles, and it's like, okay, he's on fire right now. They're trying to take him away. Let's figure out a different way so he can make that decision on the floor like that. That's outstanding growth because that's giving yourself up for your team. Right. And not thinking you have to play hero ball.
And that was the whole thing is, I think that's where he's grown the most, is he knows that he has to take control, but taking control of the game doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to score every bucket.
Yeah.
It just means that you're going to facilitate the game and you're going to get people where they need to be. And It was a tough loss for them.
Yeah.
And like I said, they won the Class A region and they lost up at the state to a very experienced team. And last night they saw that they should have or could have won that game. So hopefully they'll learn from that. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about maybe some of the lopsided games that's happened this year and across the state. And I just want to know what your opinion is as far as what does that prove?
All right.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Introducing the Glasgow EPB customer payment portal and mobile app. With our new sleek and user-friendly payment portal, managing your Glasgow EPB services has never been easier. And if you need to make a payment on the go, our new mobile app lets you pay your bills with just a few taps. The Glasgow EPB customer payment portal and mobile app, because managing your Glasgow EPB services should be as simple as flipping a switch. Visit glasgowepb.com/billpay today to sign up and download the app.
All right, James, something that's bothered me for about the last 2 months.
Okay.
It started at a Caverna girls game. Watched a team score 112 points with their starters in the game.
Yeah.
It was awful to me.
Yeah.
There's no sportsmanship in that. There's no way that you can justify that. Now, if the other team only had 7 players,
Yeah.
there's really nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. So there are two things. One is going back to the 7 players thing. I think Caverna's girls played a team that had 8 players, and they ended up losing that game by about 70. I think is what the final was, like 92-20, something like that. There's not a whole lot you can do if you're the coach of that team, because here's the flip side of that. If I'm the Caverna girls, I don't want somebody to just stand out there and hold the ball.
Right, you've got to keep coaching, and you've got to keep playing.
Yeah, I think you still do what you do, no matter what the competition level is.
Now,
as the head coach of the better team.
Before I finish, now there was a football game that I was a part of, and we had a very large margin. And during the course of that game, I subbed some kids because I didn't want it to get out of control.
Yeah.
Those kids weren't comfortable, and they just weren't ready to play.
Right.
And so
That's
I
kind
had
of the
some
same
people.
thing. That's the numbers thing, sort of like that.
Hey, I only had 18 kids dressed.
Yeah.
You got to play 11.
Yeah.
And you can't put a lineman in the backfield or put a lineman at quarterback. I felt bad, and I apologized to the coach and the athletic director. And the athletic director was like, "Hey, we saw what you tried to do, so it's not like you just ran the score up."
Yeah.
And if I were that guy, Tyson Martin would have had, realistically, he could have had 1,000 yards rushing that game in one game. Yeah. He had 346 with a couple of minutes to go.
And he only had like 12 carries in the game with 346 yards?
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like you just fed him the ball.
Exactly. But the reason I'm bringing this up is the number 1 team in the state of Kentucky, Greater Crossing. Now, they're a fairly new school. They beat Frankfort last night 101-22.
Okay.
There's no justifying that. You're the best in the state of Kentucky. You have nothing to prove against a team that's struggled the whole year.
Right.
There's nothing to prove.
Well, let's go back to that game you mentioned to start with, the Greene County Caverna game.
Right.
All right. Greene County had 10 players.
Right.
In my mind, and I've talked to other coaches about this too, there are 2 things about playing your starter. He didn't play his starters every minute of the game, but he started his starters at the start of the third and the fourth quarter, and I think they played about half.
Yeah, they pressed.
They pressed, or they half court pressured.
Trapped.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, it was early in the season. I get you're trying to work on what you work on. You want your team to play the way you want it to play. But I think in the second half, this game's out of hand. Just play those 5 players that aren't going to play a whole lot during the season, because you're not going to beat every team like that. And just let them have their glory day.
Now,
if they still win 112-21 like that, that's the way it goes.
Let's look back to the 90s.
Yeah.
High school basketball in this area. Mm-hmm. Barron County was good. Glasgow was good. Caverna was good. In the 90s, Warren East and Warren Central, Bowling Green, Hart County, everybody was good.
Yeah.
And I know I'm probably wrong for saying this, but if I was playing a team that was running the score up on us,
you get decapitated.
It was bad business.
Yeah,
if you had your best player in the game,
he's getting decapitated.
something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the mentalities have changed, but why would you want to risk having your best player hurt because you want to run the score up on somebody?
But maybe that's why they do it, is because the mentalities have changed. If it was the old days, those starters would have not seen the floor in the second half. But we go back to this. There was a game late in the season, I don't remember who it was between, and a team was up by, I think, 30. It was a girls' game. And the starters were still on the floor. I think it was in the last 2 weeks of the season. And I'm like, what you're doing now, the playoffs are a week, 2 weeks away. You're risking injury. Get them out. You cannot afford to lose those players, even if it's not the 90s. So anything can happen. You're playing them in a situation where now things are getting loosey-goosey. People are just diving on the floor for the ball, even if they're not trying to rip people's heads off like they would have in the 90s. But it's still getting wild out there because, the game is out of control on the scoreboard, and now the team that's losing is just playing recklessly.
And we've seen it across the country on social media the last month. A lot of fights and a lot of things. So what happens if a coach says, I don't have anything to lose?
Yeah.
Okay. Calls a timeout. Punch so-and-so in the face. Let's just have an all-out brawl.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to embarrass me like that. If you're going to embarrass me like that, then your season's done because all your players are going to get ejected, so you can't play the next game in advance. So what would happen then? How bad would that be?
I mean, it would be terrible, and that coach shouldn't be coaching. But that's beside the point, because maybe the other coach needs to be questioned in the same way.
And because he shouldn't be trying to win a game by 100 points.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So, in that Greater Crossing? Greater Crossing?
Great Crossing.
One of those.
I hope they get crossed up in the first round of the region.
Look, let's say you got 15 players deep on which is I think the number you can have in the playoffs. You can have 15 players, and so you've got 7 or 8. They're going to play. That means you've got 7 or 8 who aren't going to play a lot during the postseason. I don't know why, as a coach, you do not just in the second half let those people play. Because you're going to win the game. You're going to win it by 50 anyway. Let them, because they're probably not going to play another game in the playoffs that's going to allow those dudes to be a part of the action.
1990, it's 90 or 91, Caverna won the Class A region.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a game scheduled with Glasgow on that Tuesday night. We played on Wednesday night in Lexington. Glasgow wouldn't let us cancel the game. So Coach Deaton didn't let Jason Woodard, Jason Claycomb, any of our dogs play. So I remember we got dressed at Caverna, shooting shirts, warm-up pants and everything. As soon as the horn sounded for the girls' game, we got off the bus, went and warmed up, and as soon as the game was over, went back out of the gym. He didn't want to risk one of you know, Jason Woodard was all state.
Yeah.
He didn't want to risk him getting hurt because we were playing for something big.
Mm-hmm.
He never left kids he never, as soon as he saw that a game was out of hand, he cleared the whole bench. He never left. And there was games where Jason Woodard could have probably scored 50 or 60 points.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that for him. We played Adair County. I wasn't a huge scorer in high school. You know, if I scored 20, 25, that was like great. Usually meant I shot 12 layups. 12 layups. But I remember we were playing, it was a snow day. We were playing Adair County at Adair. And I had 36 points with like 4 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can score 50.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, don't ever ask me to do something like that again. He said, we're beating them by 23 points.
Yeah.
He said, you're done.
I guess to me, we got to get out of here. The bottom line to me is this. It's dumb coaching in this sense. You're risking injury to players that you need. And I'm not saying you don't need the other 5 or other 7 who aren't playing. It's just that you got 2 or 3 that you have to have. And if they get hurt because you are keeping them in a game that you're winning by 30 or 40 points, that's just a dumb move. It's not smart, in my opinion. No matter what the sportsmanship part of it is, it's just not smart coaching. That's my point.
All right. Well, good luck to all the teams that's going to start the regional tournament this weekend.
Yep. The girls' draw is Friday morning. Tournament starts on Sunday for the 4th region. Boys' draw is Saturday morning. It starts next Tuesday, I think. And then the 5th region is 2 different locations. So I'm not sure when the draws are.
Yeah, they always play 2 different locations.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back next week. This has been Tell Me About It.